Hello, everyone, and welcome to PvP Live's Friday Night Face-Off. And this is the third one I think we've done so far. We got an exciting matchup today. I am your host, Jason, along with Novos, which is a PvP Live team member and BlizzCon Arena competitor. Novos, how you doing today?
Pretty good. How about you?
I'm doing well, man. I'm doing well. You got to be pretty excited about, competing at BlizzCon, right? That's coming up in less than a month now.
Yeah, been practicing every day, pretty much. It's pretty exciting. It's been a while since I've been to BlizzCon, so looking forward to it a lot.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited. Myself and Aridin, which is not on cam right now, but he's helping out behind scenes, will also be going to BlizzCon with you guys. So that is going to be pretty exciting. I'm super pumped up. We're also joined by our commentators, Wes and Riles. Wes, how are you doing today, bud?
I'm doing great, actually. It's been a good day for me, so I'm feeling good. Yeah, excited.
Excellent. Riles, how you doing today?
A little bit confused after all the technical difficulties, but now we're here.
That's all right. That's always going to happen. So today we have two awesome teams, an FMP versus an LSP. We have House Tully, which is composed of Snuggly, a Feral Druid, Pays, a Frost Mage, and Azaran, a Disciplined Holy Priest. We're not sure exactly what he's going to be playing today. And Team Wraanom, which is Janecarnage, playing an Elemental Shaman, Dyxxzy, playing an Affliction, Destro, Warlock. We're still not sure. That's something we can talk about in a little bit. And Ibu, which is going to be playing a Priest, Disciplined Holy, still not entirely sure yet. Novos, just going to you first, just to start this out while we're doing the pre-show here. What are your overall predictions? FMP versus LSP. Have you faced these comps in your day-to-day arena challenges with your team?
Well, we faced things close to it. Nothing really exactly that. I haven't really fought a pre-sealer on that comp almost this entire expansion, and I haven't fought an FMP yet. I've heard that FMP is good, but I haven't, like I said, I haven't faced it firsthand. I think Frost Mages is going to be, Frost Mages are amazing right now, so I think that has potential to carry the comp, but then Druids are kind of lacking compared to Warriors and Rogues, so it's a bit hard to say how that's going to actually play out. And for the other team, I played a lot of Elemental Shaman Destro Lock or Affliction Lock, as you probably know.
Sure.
So I would probably put my money on them, but like I said, mages are really good, so it's hard to really completely say. Plus, Priest is a lot different than what I usually play with, so I don't really know how much of a difference that's going to be.
I know we talked about this on Sunday a little bit, Novos, but the Frost Mage, the hot fix, the 10% buff to them, do you think that made a big difference in the past week that you've seen playing against them?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's probably put them from relatively weak to the best caster there is. I don't know actually if they were relatively weak. It's kind of hard to say. Without any of the new gear, when people first started complaining, after 1 week in the season, before anyone actually got any gear, they got the buff, and now that everyone has weapons, it's really showing how strong they are when they get their damage really high. So I think it was all PvE related, so you can't really comment much on being a bad decision or not, but they're definitely one of the strongest right now.
Yeah, it's interesting. When 5.4 first hit, it seemed like a bunch of at least top-rated Twitch streamers that play Frost Mages were kind of complaining at the beginning, so it looks like they kind of evened it out. As far as going with House Tully, the FMP, Novos, what do you think the best idea for them to play for Priest, Discipline or Holy?
Oh, Holy for sure.
Yeah.
Holy is definitely more powerful these days. You rarely see Discipline Priest on ladder. I don't really know exactly what makes them weak, but it just seems like Holy is a better choice overall. After the fix to Prayer Mending, they don't seem to be as good as they were originally. They were almost probably like the best healer by far before the fix, but now they're kind of on the lower end of the healers. So with both teams having them, it's kind of a toss-up in the match. I don't really know how quickly the games are going to end with a pre-sealer right now.
Okay. Wes and Riles, I'll get to you guys in a second. Now, as far as Team Wraanom, the LSP, Dyxxzy is going to be either playing an Affliction or a Destruction Warlock. Novos, what are your thoughts on this? What do you think he should be picking? What do you think he should be playing?
I think Affliction's definitely stronger, but Affliction's going to be a lot more boring to watch. I think we would rather see Destruction. I think it'll be a lot more entertaining to see a Destruction than Warlock. With a Feral Druid on the other team, it's definitely a possibility to play it too. If you're fighting against a Warrior as a Destruction Lock, your life is going to be terrible because you can never get them off you. But with a Druid, you're able to actually fear them and get a chance to cast. So Destruction's not exactly a bad choice against a team like this. But it's really hard to say. Affliction might be the more safe choice. It's just going to be a long and more drawn out match than Destruction might be.
Okay. So going with Ibu basically, Discipline or Holy for the LSP comp. Again, what do you think? What do you think you should be playing?
Definitely Holy again. I don't think Discipline really offers anything Holy doesn't already give. Chastise is pretty much the make or break thing. It's an additional CC that no one really can replace. And as long as their healing is up to par or better than Discipline, there's no reason to not be Holy, at least right now.
Gotcha. So going to Wes, one of our commentators, let's start out with, who do you think has an advantage right now, the FMP or LSP? Which one?
I think if the FMP plays it well, they have the advantage because of all the CC and the amazing synergy between the classes, but the LSP has, like me and Rouse talked a bit about this before, the LSP has some really good CC channels as well, so it could go either way.
So, also, going with the FMP, just starting over there, as far as Discipline or Holy, do you agree with Novos? Should they be playing Holy?
Who?
Oh. Yeah, who? I'm gonna answer this one. I think he should be playing...
Oh, Wes, I'm sorry, yeah.
I think he should be playing Holy because it has a higher sustain and better AoE healing than Disc, so that would work better against an LSP for sure. I think he should play Holy.
Riles, what do you think? As far as,
Holy,
Discipline versus Holy, yeah.
Simply Holy because you can coordinate stuff really easily. You can say I'll chastise, you silence that guy, and we'll do it together. Because at least my team, when we used to play in Bleach Bones, we used to have stuff like that. We'd be I'll deep freeze him, I'll silence that, and you chastise at the same time. It's all instant CC, and it's really easy to pull off. And especially out of chastise, you can easily get a fear. So, or polymorph or something like that. So, chastise no matter what, I would believe.
Moving down to Team Wraanom, as far as Affliction versus Destruction, obviously, like Novo said, it's probably going to be a little more exciting with the burst damage from Destruction Warlocks. Starting with you, Wes, what do you think Dyxxzy's going to be coming out with today?
I really missed that. You mean Affliction or Destruction?
Yeah. What spec do you think he's going to be playing?
I don't know. I think Affliction is really strong because of the sustained pressure, and the elemental damage really complements it because of the burst, so you can burst one target down and drop everything else low with the Affliction dots. But on the other hand, Destruction is really, really good as well because of the burst together. If they burst together in a stun, that's going to drop someone low, almost certainly.
Okay, Riles, what are your opinions on the Affliction versus Destruction for Dyxxzy?
I think Affliction is better, safe to say. I would say Affliction because it's safer, and you can really easily build up your comp around that. But if you play Destro, I feel like it's a little bit gimmicky. You need a lot of practice to coordinate that burst that you have on the Destro lock and on the elemental side as well. Because a lot of times you will see the Destro lock using a lot of Chaos Balls and stuff alone, when basically his teammate isn't pulling out enough any damage. So basically then his teammate, they're not coordinating it, because it's really hard, say you're on the Destro lock the whole game, so there's a war on you, and you don't get too many casts off. And when you cast, your teammate is maybe CC'd or something like that, so you kind of waste your time and try to get a little bit of pressure, but it's nothing serious. You need to coordinate stuff perfectly if you want to success in a Destro elemental comp, which is why I actually think it's a little bit harder comp to play, so I would say Affliction. Just make it easier.
Moving down to Ibu, I'm guessing you both are probably going to say Holy as well as Novos did. What are your thoughts on what spec Ibu is going to come out with today?
Holy, 100%.
Yeah. That would, I'm guessing, yeah, that would completely make the most sense. As far as, we were all talking about earlier, as far as the CCs that LSP has, and they're amazing, basically. The Fears, Siphene, Shadow Fury, depending on what they're spec'd. But basically, House Tully has no Tremor or, any way out of that. So, Novos, what are your thoughts on that as far as the CC advantage that Wraanom has?
I don't really think there's a CC advantage at all with Wraanom,
No?
to be honest.
Okay.
I mean, okay, there are going to be a lot of fears, and it's going to be kind of aggravating for the Feral Druid to stay on his target, but overall, I think the Priest plus Mage offers more CC than, like, the Priest plus Warlock, because they're on the same Fear DR, and Hex isn't really, like, that good of a CC compared to Polymorph, I'd say. I think there would be more CC, there is more CC on the FMP comp, especially if you include Cyclone, but you don't really have to because it's kind of hard to get Cyclone off as a Feral Druid these days, so... I think that the FMP could definitely win due to CC, but the other team is more likely to win due to overwhelming damage or like burst, just random burst, rather than CC.
Okay, going down to Wes and Riles, what are your thoughts on the CC advantage of each team?
Let me start there. I think for Wraanom, it's LSP. I think they have a little bit advantage because I haven't seen these players in the scene before, so I would say they're like above average. I wouldn't say like they're top players like Novas and stuff like that. So I would say they have the advantage if also House Tully aren't really well coordinated as well, because if it's not teams that are too coordinated, I think the LSP has simply an advantage because I would say it's an easier comp to play because House Tully needs a lot of coordination. Like versus an Elemental Shaman, if you don't coordinate your CC as a Priest, Mage, he's gonna be able to tremor it. Like you need to be top notch on the CC. There can't be any gaps, like not a half a second or anything like that, not a millisecond.
Wes, how about you? What are your thoughts on the CC advantages?
I think the LSP has the CC advantage over the FMP, but it really depends on how they execute it because because of the decurses on the FMP, it's going to be really hard to land a good hex. So they need good cross CC, and otherwise it all goes to waste. So yeah.
Novos, do you think that it's a possibility that FMP is going to possibly try to train the Shaman first because they have no cooldowns?
I definitely see that as a possibility. It's probably the easiest target to train. I don't think a Feral Druid has a very good time sitting on a Warlock. There's a possibility they could train the Priest as well, but I don't see that being as viable either. I think Priests are one of the harder healers to kill. If it was a Shaman or possibly a Paladin, it'd be more likely. But I think, yeah, Shaman's probably the best target for them, without a doubt. And if they have really good CC on the opposing Priest, it's definitely a possibility they can kill him very early in the match. I know RMP does that very often. They can kill an Elemental Shaman like in the opener with good CC. It's not exactly RMP since it's a Feral Druid, but it's kind of close. I could see something like that happen.
Wes and Riles, I know you guys brought that up before. So do you want to give your thoughts on possibly, the Shaman getting trained first?
Yeah. If I was playing FMP, I would train the Elemental Shaman the whole game, and I would go with Deep Freeze, Blank Sis, and the Shaman, and at the same time, I would coordinate with my Priest so he can chastise Sphere the holy other priest, enemy priest. So basically, we would coordinate CC, and so there wouldn't be tremors on the Fears. And I guess my Feral being able to maybe do a focus. A roar on the Warlock or something like that, so we'd get so it's deny him also stopping our Priest getting fear on the enemy Priest. That's at least how I would play it, and then I would turtle it around until I get Defreeze Blank CS back up again.
Wes, what do you think? Do you think the Shaman's going to be focused first?
Well, he's like the easiest target to sit on, kind of, because Warlock has the ports and he can actually soulburn if he wants to sprint. And the Shaman only has a Ghost Wolf, so it's much easier to sit on the Shaman than on the Warlock.
We talked about who is going to be, trained or focused in the LSP team, but as far as FMP, House Tully, who do you think that Wraanom's going to be focusing first for House Tully, Novos?
Sorry, can you say that again?
Oh, is it, it's who's going to be, we were talking about, the elemental shaman on the LSP is probably going to be focused first or trained. As far as House Tully, who do you think they're going to be going after on the FMP team?
I'd say there's going to be a lot of spread damage, and probably the Feral Druid is going to take the most damage. Maybe the Mage. It depends how aggressive the Mage is playing. If the Mage is playing on top of them, they should really try to put a lot of pressure on him to make him not want to stand wherever he wants. Other than that, I think the Feral Druid is going to be the easiest target. If they put enough damage into him, he'll have to run away, and then at that point, he's doing no damage, so it gives them a huge advantage. But if they don't put enough pressure on him, he'll just be on top of the Shaman the entire game. So they have to be able to counter pressure enough on one of the two DPS. I don't think the Priest is going to be targeted almost ever unless he's really put himself in a bad position.
Okay. Going to Wes and Riles, any other comments as far as, where do we see this going? What's going to be happening in the matches?
So I can see the game in front of my eyes. At least this is how I would see it. Last season when I was playing, I played a lot of FMP versus a lot of LSDs, at least not with Priest, but yeah. The main thing the FMP wants to do is, as I said 100 times from now, the Priest Blanksys and the Elemental Shaman get cross CC at the same time on the Priest and the Warlock. But what the LSP wants to do is basically simply put a lot of pressure into the Feral Druid, so he's scared, actually. Make him scared, pop a lot of cooldowns, so he actually gets real scared really early on to go offensive. Because if they actually make the Feral scared, he won't be able to do stuff. And each time the Mage goes too offensive to get be the playmaker, they should also simply just punish him for that. I think that's how it's going to be, and if the LSP does well, they're going to be able to make them turtle around too much, and I think they're going to be able to just drain the other team.
Okay, Wes, what about you? What are your overall thoughts? Anything anything else before we get started here about the comp setups?
Not really. I don't have much to add. We've gone through everything. I'm just really excited to see this game unfold, and hopefully we'll get some good gameplay going.
Pretty excited. We should be starting here in a few minutes. Novos, going back to you, let's talk about these comps a little bit more in depth, I guess. I guess let's go over the different specs on each team and talk about what each spec has as an advantage or a disadvantage over one of the others.
Okay. I'd say the fact that they have a Feral Druid and a Mage is going to make it very hard for the Shaman Hex, like we said before. If we could go into talents, I'd say if the Shaman's going to be trained, he's probably going to want to be either Unleash Elements, or Unleash Fury rather, or Primal Elementalist. He's not going to want to be Elemental Blast because he's going to be trained down a lot. If we're going to talk about who's got the advantage in terms of it's really, honestly, it's hard for me to say because on paper I haven't seen these comps very often, but we're going to and the Priest on each team makes it a lot different than what I'm used to. So I think the Priest could get put under a lot of pressure on the LSP as opposed to, let's say, I usually have a Monk healer, so I'd be confident for a Monk to keep us up for a really long time.
Right.
I don't know, what do you think of it? I know you've heard a lot from us, but I want to know your opinion. Who do you think? Who's your money on?
Man, it's a hard one, honestly. It really depends on, I think for me, it depends on what Dyxxzy's going to be playing, and it depends on what the two priests are going to be playing. Which I'm guessing they're probably going to be both playing Feral, both going to be playing Holy. So it's really hard to say. I think I don't know. I don't want to predict until I see the first match go because I really haven't seen any of these players really play before. So I think we're going to have to wait till after the first match for my prediction, at least. Now, as far as Novos, as far as you go, as far as your comp goes, has your BlizzCon team comp gone against either one of these comps before? I'm sure you have, but what's your opinion as far as your team going against either one of these comps?
Well, last patch I fought FMP, and it was actually extremely, extremely hard. It's FMP was one of the hardest things we had to fight against, but FMP's changed a lot. Feral Druids have been nerfed tons compared to what they were last patch.
Right.
So that's why it's kind of a difficult thing for me to say. I don't see Feral Druids all that often. I see Feral Druids in Cleaves a certain amount, but last patch they were like crowd control gods, but this patch not so much.
Okay, guys, I think right now we are actually going to the very first match between House Tully and Wraanom, and I am going to send this over to Wes and Riles right now.
By HT.
Okay, sorry about that, guys. We're having a little bit of technical difficulty, so we're going to go back on screen for a second. And I should probably mute my stream so it doesn't echo like that. So it's just going to take a couple more seconds to start up here. I just want to tell everyone, please go to pvp-live.com, bookmark the site, please follow our stream down below, and follow us all on Twitter, which you can see right down somewhere here, Nova's and myself's Twitter, as well as Wes and Riles. So Novas, while we're waiting for this next match to start up real quick, let's talk about your BlizzCon team. Let's talk about your past experience.
Okay.
I believe you've been to BlizzCon before, correct?
I have, yes. Played in
Okay,
it, yeah.
You competed there. In what season was that?
Season 8, 2010.
Okay, so that was actually
Talbadar and Dyxxzy, and now I'm going up against Talbadar. So it's kind of a
that's going to be interesting.
Weird situation.
Yeah, that's going to be a fun matchup. I'm super excited to see it myself. So have you guys, and I know we talked about this a little bit in the podcast if you guys have seen it from last Sunday, how has practice been going?
It's going good. I mean, we just getting games in. Nothing specific. I mean, it doesn't look to me like the other teams are practicing too much. I might be wrong. I think they probably have hidden characters and stuff, but I think we're probably getting more practice in than any other team that that I'm aware of, at least. I mean, it's kind of annoying to queue on ladder and fight only teams that you won't fight at BlizzCon, because there's almost no Wizard Cleaves on ladder, but almost all of BlizzCon is Wizard Cleave, so it's kind of maybe fake practice. You don't really fully know, but at least we're getting our we're staying warmed up. It's not gonna be like we stopped playing Arena for a couple weeks. We're at least all gonna be on point with our game. But making strategies wise against Wizard Cleave, it's a bit hard to do when you only fight warriors, since they're like the lords of the arena right now.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, as far as the other comps that you guys are going to be playing at BlizzCon, which you obviously know who you're going to be playing, how do you guys? Obviously, you think you're going to win. We think you're going to win. I think you're going to win. But I mean, how do you think you guys match up as far as the different comps go?
Well, I think. Well, first of all, I'll say that I think if we fought these teams at BlizzCon last patch, there'd be, without a doubt, like I'd be over, like I wouldn't be worried at all. But the comps this patch, like I said a minute ago, we haven't fought them that much.
Right.
It's hard to completely say how we're going to do against them, but we are pretty confident. Like we've fought things close to it, maybe with like different kind of healers and like not maybe like a different healer, not like a paladin instead of a druid, and we do fine. Like we do good against every one of these comps. But again, some of the players, like the European players, we don't fight them all the time. They could be way better at the comp than the players that we're fighting. So there could be like a skill difference. So we're not 100% sure what to expect out of some of these teams. But again, from what the looks of it, we're feeling pretty good about it.
Awesome. Yeah, it's going to be super exciting. Like I said, it's almost it's less than a month now that we're going to be at BlizzCon. So that's not too much time yet. And I'm guessing, like you said before, or not guessing, but you already said that you guys are practicing a ton. Moving on, since we're still waiting for this next match to come up, on PvP Live, our very own Aridin made an excellent post, and I'm sure someone can link it, the PvP Live. Casey, someone can link it in chat. But basically, kind of what I want to talk about is Blizzard, taking away the crowd chooses you buff. Now, do you think that was actually a necessary fix in Arena so far?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't completely hate the current system, but I know a lot of people did.
Right.
I think their next system is probably better. Like I said, I think the one that they have now is better than having games timeout and if both people lose. I do think that's an improvement, but the next one could potentially be even better. So it's really hard to completely say. I think the next one kind of favors different teams than the current one does. I think the main reason they're changing it as well is no one likes to have to play differently because of the system, right? Like no one likes to use their defensive cooldowns even though they know they're going to live, and that's a big problem that everyone seems to have. And people do stupid things like when they see the timer, they're just going to try to live until it happens, right? If they're ahead, they're going to try to live. I'm sure they didn't like that, and I'm sure the people like. It's kind of a strange thing when that happens. More often than not, teams will go so defensive that they try to live, and it ends up killing themselves because the other team just goes as aggressive as they want. So it's such a weird thing that people aren't really used to playing with yet, and it's kind of frustrating for a lot of people. I think the new change is going to be a bit better.
Yeah, it seems like there's been a lot of complaints from the player side on the crowd chooses you buff. I think we're actually going to go back to the match now. I think we got everything worked out. Sorry again, guys, for the delay. But I just want to remind you again, please go to pvp-live.com, bookmark that site, and follow the stream on Twitch. Follow us on Twitter. Follow all of us, the commentators, the hosts, everyone on Twitter as well. And I think we're going to have a bunch of exciting stuff coming up for you during the BlizzCon season. And I'm going to head right over now to Wes and Riles with House Tully and Wraanom for the first match.
FMP, are they gonna zerk like they did last time? Unfortunately, it was a cancelled game, but such a zerk by the FMP. Gotta look to them. Look at Pace, Azeron, and yeah, simply what you're gonna do here. This FMP had such a strong opener last match. Are they gonna have an insane opener like last game? We're gonna see what they're gonna be up to. And Pace is just running in once again. but he's alone this time. The Feral Druid is not with him. Actually, he is, and he's gonna be opening up here into Janecarnage, and there's a defense into Abu. He's gonna be stuck in at once. There's an orb hitting everyone, but the main damage is on Janecarnage. He's on 50% HP, has catch some spiritual, so the priest is gonna be catching a sheep here. He's gonna have to trinket. I don't know if it does on that one. Healing Tide has been popped also, but Jane has been using a lot of defensive cooldown, but here comes the offensive cooldowns of the Elemental Shaman here. Gonna look to burst down someone, but doesn't get too much damage out.
We've actually seen Janecarnage dropping pretty low around half HP. It's still dropping this. Was actually Falkland half poly on the Abu right now. There's so much damage. There's no defensive cooldowns, and he's going to go down straight away, right on that second CC chain. And Pace is going to block offensively, but the game is over already. That yeah, the second CC chain really just completely stopped any healing, and the Shaman just dropped right there.
I just gotta point out, there was a lot of overlapping with cooldowns. I don't know if it was necessary, but that was just like amount of the offensive cooldown, defensive cooldown were overlapped with his LSP was enormous. But yeah, so
yeah, indeed, there was a lot of CZ overlap. Actually, the Shaman just popped like every cooldown straight away in the opener, and then they didn't have anything left for that second CC chain, and I think that's why he died right there, because he used everything. They didn't have anything left. So I think that was a mistake. Maybe
I
they
don't
can
know.
change it in the second game.
But I mean, it must be panicking. I mean, you see the Mage Burst, the Feral Burst, and all the small CCs coming out from this FMP. It must be frustrating. I mean, it makes a lot of mistakes coming. You need to be really well coordinated with these defensive cooldowns.
Definitely. I think we'll be swapping over to Jason in a moment, so let's go check out what he has to say about the game.
Yep.
Wow, House Tully with the first win. Janecarnage, the Elemental Shaman, went down pretty quickly. Novos, what are your thoughts on that? I mean, that was a pretty quick first match.
Yeah, that definitely looked like the LSP did not use their defensives correctly. Like at the end, you saw the scoreboard where it said how much time they were in CC.
Mm-hmm.
They were not in CC for all that much, and the FMP definitely did a really good job of getting that really early pressure out. Like I said, like an RMP could do that, so I figured an FMP could do the same. But if the LSM or the LSP is playing their best, they should be able to rotate cooldowns better to live for a much longer time. Like, what is pain suppression? Like a 6-second duration? They're in CC for 12 seconds. They should be, like 6 seconds of that, they should be safe, and then they should have Sham Rage for another 15. So you should definitely be able to keep your team up a lot longer. They should probably focus more on living the opener of the game than they did. I'm not really sure if they're really trying to get an early kill or something, but they should definitely focus on keeping themselves alive for a lot longer. Once they live that opening pressure, it'll be a lot easier on them to get pressure out later on in the game.
Again, House Tully with the first win. Wes, going to you real quickly. What do you think happened there? Why did Janecarnage, Elemental Shaman, go down so quickly?
I really think what Novus pointed out already, they used so many cooldowns and they overlapped a lot as well in the opener, so they basically used everything on the first burst round, and when the second deep came in, they didn't have anything to stop it anymore, so they couldn't actually survive that anymore.
Riles, what are your thoughts on that first match? I mean, that was a pretty quick one. Janecarnage, Elemental Shaman went down very quickly. What happened there? What'd you see?
I wouldn't say there's like anything specifically special coming out from the FMP. So I think it was just really a lot of mistakes from the LSP. Basically, they overlapped a lot of defensive cooldowns, and also the trinket from Abby was unnecessary. There was an orb hitting him, I think, at the same time. So yeah. So I think they just need to like wrap up the game. I don't know if they're nervous or anything like that. But yeah, they found a lot of mistakes coming in, which literally makes them throw the game immediately. Because they used every defensive cooldown into the orb and stuff like that. They should just use PS one thing, and that should be it during the orb, and they should peel a lot better. The Warlock should do a lot better peeling, and yeah, they shouldn't literally not overlap all these cooldowns at the same time, and also should be trinketing when they're not using cooldowns.
If I can jump in here for a sec.
Yeah, go ahead.
You said something. You said that they might be nervous, and I'm sure it's probably these guys' first time playing on stream, or at least in a tournament-style stream. So I could completely imagine them being nervous. I know. I'll give you a little bit of a story here about my first time at a tournament. I played on stream against Button Bashers. If you guys remember who that is, that's a Korean team. That was my very first game on stream ever at MLG, and I played just terribly. Like, I just completely choked. Everybody who's ever played an MLG can tell you that their first game, they did not play as well as they could have. So I'm going to kind of say that I'm just going to blame this one on nerves, maybe. Just they probably didn't play as well as they usually do. So let's just hope it's that.
Yeah, I think it's crazy for a lot of people too. You know, it doesn't matter how many people are watching. It doesn't matter if you're on stage at BlizzCon or, you know, there's 100 people watching you on a stream. If you haven't done that before, competition, it gets nerve-wracking, I'm sure. I mean, I could understand that being a defining factor on who wins. Novos, going to you now, since you saw the first matchup, and you know it takes everyone a little bit of time to get used to play styles against different comps or different players. But now, who do you think is going to come out on top? You know, if House Tully wins another one, that's it. So where do you see this going, this next match?
I mean, that one ended really fast. So, again, they could either completely turn this around and be able to live the opener really safely, or they won't. They probably will live longer. I'm not doubting they're going to live longer next game, but that was a really fast game. So I'm probably going to have to put my money on House Tully at this point. We could see a big comeback. It's not unlikely that once they live through that opening pressure, they can get an advantage in the game once the Druid starts sitting fears, because at the start he's got probably a Dispel and a Trinket before they can get him off. But after that, he's going to have nothing, and then he gets feared across the map. So once they get themselves into a safe spot, they're probably going to be a lot better to win the game, or more likely to win the game. But it doesn't really seem like it's going to... I'm going to put my money in House Tully just because they have to do it. They have to get one more of those matches, one more of those quick wins to really seal the deal already. So...
Well, this is actually perfect timing because we are going to match number 2 between House Tully and Team Wraanom. House Tully coming victorious with the first win. Over to you, Wes and Riles.
They need to step up the CC a lot to peel that opener, because the opener is really what matters for the FNP. So if they can stop the opener, they can have a good chance of winning the game. So yeah, we're just going to have to see what they're going to do to stop the opener from the FNP. We're going to see that quick gateway just like last game. He's starting it right away. They can't stop it. Actually, almost got it, but they not quite. They have a short gateway, so it's not too good. We're just opener with CS on the priest, CS on the mage as well. They just stopped the instant CS. But the damage coming out on Janecarnage now, deep freeze on Evu. So he seems like he's wanted to sit that. With full ring, that's going to be pretty rough. PS already used on the elemental shaman. Full poly on the wall. There's no peels there because he already wheeled out of the fear. And this is going to looking really grim for the elemental shaman. Half poly on Evu. He's not trinketing. He trinkets really late actually, choosing. There comes the life swap, full clone actually, right before he knew the clone was coming, so he had to swap. But Janecarnage taking so much damage, grinding him doing not too much. He has the 40% shield, but he's so low, he's probably going to drop right away, and he's going to go down. The counter pressure on Pays was coming up, but it wasn't enough. So that's going to be game 2, and yeah, that's too bad for the SP actually.
Wow, that was just crazy. That was literally just crazy. They just, like, I said a live sub come in, I was like, hey, are they gonna swap into the priest? JK, we just killed the elemental shaman from 100% to 0, even third priest is almost dead. Just gonna hand it out to them, ballsy by HT, good job by them, and congratulations on their second win.
Yeah, they're gonna take it. So it seemed pretty comfy for them.
That was a stomp. That was a stomp, man.
Yeah, I don't know. That seemed really easy for them. They played it well. No doubt they played it well, but I think the LSP just really left out on the peeling. That's where it really went wrong. They didn't have the peels. At least they didn't set it up well. So yeah, I think that's a big thing. What do you think?
I think the peels defeat would matter, and I also think the getting a gateway, and I don't know why they chose Nagrand. I would choose Dalaran simply because it's or Blaze Edge, not Nagrand. I mean, you get stomped like that, and you can't get a good proper gateway. You should just try to choose a bigger map. I think that was one of the mistakes, at least in the second match here. And I think even if they would choose Dalaran and get a proper gate, because then Janecarnage would be able to escape. I mean, still, the mage has blinks. You're playing with a spell cleave. I heard a lot of mages are playing with that double blink mechanic, so yeah. So would guess him being able to, the mage being able to chase back in, and same with the Feral Druid. I'm hearing we're gonna go into best of 5.
I'm just asking for that, but let's go to Jason first. Let's go over there and yeah, let's see what they have to say.
Yep.
Wow, House Tully with another win, possibly the final win. I think we were doing best of 3, so I think that wraps everything up, actually. Again, Janecarnage, Elemental Shaman, was trained just like you guys predicted from the very beginning. Going to Novos, do you think that the early life swap on the Shaman, do you think that affected the match, or do you think it was inevitable that they were going to lose?
Well, they did get all their defensive cooldowns out. They had some trouble overlapping them. I think the FMP really knew their strategy start to finish. The mage did a really good job. He threw his deep freeze on the priest, his MCS. He actually palm ringed off of the deep freeze, I think. It might have been casted. I'm pretty sure it was a palm, though. And like they really had a lot of pressure on the priest. The priest wasn't able to play his character enough. Mm-hmm. The priest ended up using Will of Forsaken on Fear. That was a big mistake, because the Shaman could have tremored him. If he was actually able to save his trinket for the Ring of Frost, he would have been able to heal the Shaman a lot more. But they did do the LSP did make a lot of mistakes. They overlap PS with Shamrage. You really can't do things like that if you want to live later in the game. The Shaman actually did something interesting. He picked up Astral Shift to try to live through that opening burst over Nature's Guardian. Nature's Guardian generally the talent that almost every Shaman picks. I don't think it was a good choice. I think Nature's Guardian is completely overpowered compared to Astral Shift, but it was an interesting choice. I could see why they thought about it, but I still don't think it was better than Nature's Guardian. I think the LSP was just kind of unprepared to handle that sort of pressure. Well, the FMP was really... they really had their game plan set. They really seemed to execute it well compared to the defensive strategy of the LSP.
Going down to West, what were your thoughts on that? Do you think the Astral Shift choice for the Elemental Shaman, do you think that affected the playstyle and the overall win from House Tully?
I think it's a good choice actually against the FMP, because the FMP is all about that burst. So
right.
Astral Shift is a really good pick for that, because it's 40% shield wall for 6 seconds. That's pretty big. But he used it really late when it was already really low on HP, and he used it, and then it doesn't really do anything for you anymore because you're already too low, so you're going to drop anyway. So I think that was the mistake. They didn't use it right. I think he should have used it like when he's high on HP, so the priest can actually sit the CC, but they didn't. So I think that's a big part.
Wes, do you think he could have got out of that initial training and not had to waste the life swap so early? Was that a possibility or no? Life swap was inevitable.
I think the life swap was inevitable because he triggered the half poly pretty late, but Snuggly was already casting a Cyclone, and that's where the priest just decided for using the swap, because he was going to get full clone there, and if he didn't swap right there, the Shaman would have dropped. So he had to life swap there, and there was no option, because the CD usage early on wasn't good enough to prevent that life swap.
Riles, going to you, just like Novos and Wes were just talking, it seems like Astral Shift was probably the best bet for the Elemental Shaman in that matchup because of the early burst damage. What are your thoughts on that, Riles?
I don't agree. I think Nature's Guardian always over Astral Shift. Mm-hmm. I mean, sure, you reduce damage for that little time, but say if the mage actually has procs, he can probably even DPS through the Astral Shift. It doesn't even matter. I think the HP is huge, and if your Warlock is peeling for you, you're like, say you're using like Shamrage, and then Nature's Guardian or procs, and if the Warlock does proper peels, you manage to get catched up maybe by a priest if he does also a good job.
Right.
But yeah, I simply just think like the mechanical skills and also the judgmental of defensive cooldowns of Wraanom was just a little bit too sloppy. Maybe choking, stuff like that, as we talked about, because simply gotta say myself as well, my first game in the tournament I was really, really, really nervous. Like, my hands were shaking and I didn't even know what I was doing. So I simply think, like, you see a team like this being like this the first time, people will judge them, anything like that. I don't think people should do that, They can come back into a big tournament and simply take it all, being a completely different team. And yeah, I think they got a lot to learn from this, but this is a good way, to actually learn from this, because you see us pinpointing down their mistakes, and
Right.
I think they should learn from this, simply.
This is kind of an odd question, but I'm going to start with Novos here on this one. House Tully won, but do you think that? What are your suggestions? Your thoughts? Do you think they could have done anything better than they performed?
I mean, it's hard to exactly say, because they weren't really put under a lot of pressure from the
Right.
other team. You really show how good you are when you can handle like the counter pressure. When the other team doesn't really fight back as well as they could, then it's really easy to just do what you want. But I saw that the priest had dispelled UAs, like he was dispelling UAs to get his team out of fear, which I think is a good thing that early in the game. So I'm going to give him props for that. A lot of people refused, especially a lot of people refuse to dispel UAs simply because they're afraid of the damage it'll do. But if you really want to get that early pressure, that priest did a good job keeping his team out of CC. What could they have done better necessarily? It was hard, like in such a short game, like I said, it's hard to really see. Maybe they could have done better cross CC. It's probably possible to. The Shaman got an Elemental Blast off, actually. I saw on the scoreboard, and he did 70k with it. It's probably possible to not let them get any cast off at all if the game's going to be that short, especially in Elemental Blast. If you're able to lock that out, the Shaman can't cast any of his spells. Maybe they could have also done things like when they use PS or Pain Suppression and Shamanistic Rage, they were still trying to kill him in that. If I were the FMP, I would have probably got off of him for the duration of that, because you're really going to do almost no damage with both of them up. But again, they won, so it's hard to really judge what they've done. So.
Yeah, like you said, it is hard to judge a team when they didn't have a ton of pressure on them the whole time. Those were actually some really good points, Novos. Going down to Wes, what do you think? I know it's kind of an odd question, but from what you saw, is there anything that House Tully could have done better?
For the FMP,
yeah,
that's actually pretty tough, because the games are really fast-paced. It's hard to pick stuff out, but I think their CC was pretty much flawless for that opener, so I think that's not something to improve on. I don't know. It's really hard to see, because most of the pressure was on the enemy team, so there's not much they could do wrong, because the opener is not to demean it, but it's a very binary thing. You open and you get the cooldowns with the CC, and that's the same every game. So that's something you just have to learn through playing it, and you can't really do it wrong if you get a good opener. So I don't know. I don't think I can really say anything about what they should have done better.
Yeah, I know it's kind of a tough question, but just to wrap things up, Riles, what do you think as far as House Tully? Do you think they could have done anything differently or anything better to even have a farther margin?
There's some overlapping with the Fair and the Ring of Frost. The early CC actually was a little bit overlapped. So they're actually if you're actually going for there's two different ways you can play. It's safe play, at least how I would play it. It would be I would go in deep freeze the Elemental Shaman with a blank CS, and I would just go for Chassis. My priest would go for Chassis Fair, and we would have some other CC into the Warlock, like a sheep or something like that. We'd do triple CC like that every 30 seconds, go as far as we can, and when you don't have any more CC, we'd go back. We'd actually just run around pillars, just chill. And but those guys actually want to go full, I'm not gonna say they went full, when you go full YOLO, you can't go back. So simply when you do mistakes like overlapping your almost first CCs, that's actually pretty huge, but I think just Wraanom didn't manage to handle it. So I think also this kind of playstyle is really good versus teams that aren't super high caliber, because if you go full YOLO versus a team that's like really good, that can handle defensive play, like they'll manage to actually take in everything you have, trade defensive cooldowns with your offensive cooldowns, and then I don't have anything. Like I trinketed offensively, I ice blocked offensively, I did that offensively, and now I can't even go back. Now I'm dead. You know, the priest is spelling UA. So if this team wouldn't land a kill early, I would see them flop. So yeah, so maybe play a little bit safer, and also if you want to play full YOLO, as I would say, literally don't overlap any CC, because you got to be perfect with that versus really good teams.
Thank you so much to House Tully and Wraanom to competing. Congratulations to House Tully. Just wrapping up everything. Novos, do you have any shout outs for today, this Friday evening, for the Friday night face-off?
Any shout outs? I guess I'll send one to Bestia, because she didn't get one on the last podcast that she asked for. So,
there you go.
Yeah.
Novos, thank you so much for being on the show. I know you got a lot of stuff going on preparing for BlizzCon, so thank you again. Going to Wes, how about you? Do you have any shout-outs?
Not really, no. I just think that, Ridden, actually, because in the background, before we started, we had a few technical problems, and we had to fix it on the fly, and he actually really pulled through, and I think that deserves a shout-out, yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. Eridan is our PvP Live blogger, and he's also our director for these tournament shows, and he definitely went above and beyond again today to make this tournament, this whole stream happen. Riles, how about yourself? Do you have any last shout-outs?
Simply for the crew, doing such a good job pulling out today. Such amazing crew to work with. No one was really giving up. I thought we were like, hey, we're having problems. Like, should we just cancel? Like, Hilde is not even here today. And we didn't. We actually fixed all our problems. Real proud, that we actually can manage to do that. If people actually could see what we were doing behind the scenes, they would be amazed. Sadly, they can't. Maybe we should even make some clips out of that. Also, shout out to Few and FMP. Maybe a comeback. No, I'm joking. But yeah, that's it. Thanks for tonight.
Yeah, everyone, thank you for watching so much. Please go to pvp-live.com, bookmark the website, follow the Twitch stream right here, follow all of us on Twitter somewhere down in here, and we have some huge things in store, especially around BlizzCon time, so about a month from now. But we will continue to hold these tournaments, continue to improve upon them, and I think that's it. Guys, thank you so much for watching, and thank you, PvP Live. Thank you, Arena. Thank you, PvP. Thank you, Novas. Thank you, Wes. Thank you, Riles. I'm out. Thanks.